Imagine a magic shield that protects you against your enemies wherever you go. We're not talking about your next on-screen superhero, we're talking about your bottle of sunscreen. Hi, my name's Dr. Anne and I'm going to go through everything you need to know. Sunscreen can work its magic all year round because even if it looks cloudy outside, the sun's UV rays can penetrate through. In fact, the sun's sneaky rays can be reflected back to you in surfaces such as snow and water, so it's always best to be protected. It's worth applying sunscreen on a regular basis, not just to protect you against sunburn, which could potentially lead to skin cancers, but you also want to protect yourself against skin damage, hyperpigmentation, anti-aging, and everyone needs sunscreen regardless of age, gender, and race. So make sure you incorporate it into your beauty routine. But I do know it can be tricky to work out which one the best one is, so I'm going to go through everything you need to know. So you're looking at the aisle and you're seeing 50 different sunscreens, you're wondering which one to pick, and then you see labels such as sensitive skin, fragrance-free, mineral, chemical, hypoallergenic, different strengths. So how do you know which one to pick? Well, let's start by going through some essential facts. The sun's rays is generally divided into UVB rays and UVA rays. UVB rays is responsible for lots of sunburn and many types of cancer, and it's around 95% of the sun's UV rays. UVA rays, on the other hand, is mostly responsible for things like skin wrinkles, but it can also play a role in skin cancers. When you look at a sunscreen bottle and it says the word broad spectrum sunscreen, this means it protects you against UVA and UVB rays. Next, you see the words SPF number and you're wondering what it means. Well, first of all, remember that SPF stands for Sun Protection Factor. SPF, simply put, is the guide to how well you're protected against the sun's UVB rays. Every sunscreen comes with a rating between 2 and 50, and long story short, SPF means how long can you stay in the sun without getting skin damage. For instance, let's say it takes you 10 minutes to get a natural tan in the sun, and then you apply SPF 50. Well, now it takes you 15 times longer to get the same effect when you're in the sun. So that's 150 minutes instead of 10 minutes. Whilst this makes sunscreen a powerful ally and friend against skin damage, it doesn't protect you against 100% of the UVB rays from the sun. SPF 15 protects you against 94%, SPF 30 protects you against 97%, and SPF 50 protects you against 98%. So what's the magic SPF number you should be aiming for? Well, generally, experts recommend SPF 30 and above. My top tips worth remembering for SPF numbers is, number one, it's not a one-size-fits-all. It depends on where you are, what time of day it is, and how long you're going to be outside for. If you're outside for a long time in places like Australia where the ozone layer is damaged, you'll need a higher SPF factor than if you're in the UK and it's mid-afternoon and it's cloudy skies. And remember, those with more melanin on the skin and darker skin tones have generally more protection against the sun damage. Melanin is a skin component that gives your skin your color. The second thing you should think about after SPF number is UVA star power. And this is how well your skin is protected against UVA rays from the sun. Generally, we should aim for UVA star power 3 and above, and it's usually up to a maximum of 5. Number 3, sunscreen showdown. Would you go for a mineral or a chemical sunscreen? Generally, chemical sunscreens absorb the UV rays from the sun, and mineral sunscreens reflect them away from you. There is still ongoing research into chemical sunscreens with components like these and whether or not they have damaging effects on our bodies. It's important to keep an eye out for new research on this space. Mineral sunscreens generally are composed of zinc dioxide and titanium dioxide. They aim to basically bounce back the UV rays away from your skin and act as a literal shield. Mineral sunscreens are generally safer for you and the environment. They're thought to cause less irritation, less allergic reactions, and at the moment there's no reported carcinogenic effects. Both sunscreens work very well when you apply them liberally and put them on around 30 minutes before exposure, so they have time to work. Water resistance. Some sunscreens are water resistant, which means they protect you when you're swimming and sweating. But be warned, this is for a certain amount of time, so usually around 40 to 80 minutes. And remember, when you come out of the water, to reapply, especially after swimming, sweating, or towel drying your skin. The perfect sunscreen outfit, from gels to creams, from sprays to sticks, and even foamy lotion. Sunscreen comes in lots of different forms. If you've got oily skin, you might want to consider an alcohol-based lotion or spray. If you've got dry skin, you might want to consider a cream or moisturizing sunscreen. Roll-on sunscreen can be a good pocket companion as you're walking around. Fun fact, I tend to use a tinted sunscreen to make sure my skin has a natural glow, but make sure you use enough tinted sunscreen and check the instructions on the packet. So you've picked your sunscreen and now you're trying to work out how to get the most effect. Well, number one, timing is everything. Aim to put it on at least 30 minutes before you go outside so it has time to work. Number two, generosity is key. Remember, you need at least 2 to 3 finger lengths for your face and then around 6 to 8 teaspoons for an average adult, around 35 ml, so cover up generously. Make sure you've covered all areas like behind your ears, behind your neck, areas you don't see so well, so you have all the sun protection you need. Number 3, reapplication. Generally aim to put sunscreen on every 2 hours, and especially if you've been sweating or swimming, make sure you reapply. Even if your sunscreen says the words all day, it's often safe to reapply and make sure you wear the adequate layers that you need, like hats. For the next section, I'm going to give you a little quiz on commonly asked questions with sunscreen. There is no age limit for using sunscreen. Generally, that's false. Protecting your skin against the sun is important in all ages, and if you have a baby under 6 months, it's generally important to leave them in the shade, as sunscreens aren't usually licensed in this age group. So it's important with children to make sure they're wearing hat, sunscreen, sunglasses, and they're protected against the effects of the sun. Wearing SPF makeup is enough to protect you. Generally false. With SPF makeup, it can be a plus in your routine, but it's important not to rely on it 100% because it will depend on the strength of SPF in it and how much you're applying and whether or not you're going to reapply in the day. It's generally best to apply SPF makeup as well as a sunscreen. Number 3, you can use more than sunscreen to protect your skin. Generally that's true. Your eyes and your lips also need SPF protection, and you can get special SPF lip balms and eye creams, so it's important to have a look at those. Number 4, sunscreen does not expire. False. Even sunscreens have their best before moments. Typically it can last up to 3 years if it's unopened, and if it's open you need to follow the instructions on the box. Number 5, combining insect repellent with sunscreen can diminish the sunscreen's power. This is largely true. Some insect repellents, especially the ones containing DEET, can diminish your sunscreen's power, so it's important to follow the instructions on the boxes. You might want to opt for a DEET-free version of insect repellent if it's safe, or reapply your sunscreen more often. Often questions I get asked as a doctor is, will sunscreen lighten my skin? Well, sunscreen does protect you against the sun's UV rays. When you overexpose your skin to the sun, you could lead to uneven pigmentation or hyperpigmentation, which means some parts of your skin is darker than others. When I go in the sun too much, I often notice hyperpigmentation in certain parts of my face. By applying sunscreen, you protect yourself from the hyperpigmentation and the uneven skin tone. Some people might refer to that as skin lightening, but that's not the aim of sunscreen. It's preventing you getting that extra hyperpigmentation due to sun exposure. And another benefit is with repeated sunscreen use, that hyperpigmentation you develop will fade away, and that's another positive of using sunscreen. That being said, while sunscreen doesn't have any skin lightening effects, some people combine their sunscreen with vitamin C or niacinamide, which can optimize skin health and make your skin appear more bright. Does sunscreen hold that golden tan? Well, essentially, when you're starting to get a tan, that's your body's way of saying it's exposed to the sun and it's sending out an SOS signal. If you keep being in the sun after you're starting to get a tan and keep getting more and more sun exposure, it could lead to skin damage and potential risk of skin cancer. So if you love the skin you're in and you want to protect yourself, avoid getting excessive tans or spending too long in the sun. How do you take your skin protection to the next level? Well, there are also clothes which have added skin protection and can provide a shield from the sun. Some fabrics can have SPF protection up to level 40. But if you're not keen on specialized clothes, you could think about things like denim, wool, or tightly woven fabrics, which can protect you against some of the harmful UV rays. Recently, I was in Namibia and I was kayaking on the Orange River, and then I had harsh exposure to sun, midday heat, and the sun's UV rays reflected back at me from the water. What did I do? I applied a hat, SPF on my face, SPF on my lips, make sure I wore a full-length t-shirt, and applied sunscreen to my legs every 2 hours and any exposed parts of me regularly throughout the day. I noticed on this trip there was a lot of people applying sunscreen to their face, but a lot of people were getting blistering around the lips, so I had to encourage everyone to use SPF, including on their lips. In conclusion of today's video, I hope you learned something about SPF number, UVA number, mineral versus chemical sunscreen, and you're having an easier time picking the right sunscreen for you. But an essential safety note is that no sunscreen is 100% effective. Make sure you wear hats, make sure you wear good strength sunscreen, make sure you reapply, and you think about water resistance if you're swimming. And lastly, I would love to know what your sun safety tips are, so post a message down below and I'll reply. Thank you for watching.